So we're here at the GPU Developers Conference, and we're on the show floor at the Veo booth with Mike Sobelvero, president of VeoBot. So tell me, what were we watching out? What are we watching out there?
So that's a subassembly task like you'd find on an automotive subassembly line. What we're doing is we're assembling a hub to a steering knuckle, and that's a fairly heavy part. That's about a 30-pound part. Normally, without being able to use a robot to assist a person in this assembly task, the individual worker would have to move these parts in and out of dunnage. And that's ergonomically compromised, but it also takes a lot of time.
Right, but you now have a human in the loop there, sitting inside the effective killing radius of the robot. So so you've got a box on there that makes that safe.
That's right. We make a vision system, an intelligent vision system. It runs on NVIDIA GPUs. And that intelligent vision system is classifying everything that's going on in that work cell with input from 4 time-of-flight cameras. And what those cameras do is they provide a 3D image of what's going on in the work cell. And we can classify that information, figure out what's the human, what's the robot, what's the workpiece, and we can override the robot program and the robot controls to keep the human safe. As the robot does the heavy lifting, that can cut down the cycle time of an assembly task like this from 43 seconds to 24 seconds.
And you're using some embedded artificial intelligence to do this.
That's right, we are, and that's the part that runs on NVIDIA GPUs. The vision task is actually a parallel task, and many of the parts of it, including, for example, tracking occlusions that are formed in the cell dynamically, taking those inputs from the various cameras and fusing them into a single representation, and doing that classification. All of that, all those intelligent tasks are being performed in parallel on NVIDIA GPUs.
When you say GPUs, how many of them are there?
Well, there are, I forget how many individual processing units there are on an NVIDIA Jetson.
Right. Yeah, but I meant how many Jetson modules are there?
Just one.
Okay, there is a single Jetson module that's running, doing the image processing, the sensor fusion, the predictive.
That's right. In this particular setup, we're running on a GTX 1080, but we do run this application as well on a Jetson TX2.
That's pretty impressive. And you mentioned before we went on camera that this thing is kind of constantly watching the human operator and coming up with a bunch of, you said, a cloud of scenarios?
That's right. There's a sort of cloud of future possibilities. We're closing our control loop at 30 hertz, and we have 100 milliseconds of latency from the time the light hits the camera until we issue a robot command to the controller to override either the speed or bring that robot into a protective stop, so that we can always ensure that the human worker is safe as the robot is assisting the worker in the task.
That's amazing. And so for $40,000, you can add this to most industrial robots.
Exactly. We work with all the major robot manufacturers, and we do a light touch on the robot controller. We connect to protective stop, emergency stop, and Ethernet. And so we collaborate closely with them, and we can work with existing robot programs. Setting up this system takes about 4 hours in an existing work cell, and it provides much more flexibility. We also have discrete I/O outputs.
That was a great unintentional demo. Thank you.
Yes. So that is sort of an interesting aspect of these things. Like, we can run this at full-on speed. It's just kind of scary.
Yeah. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for your time. Oh, I got a belly shot again. I'm sorry about that. Thanks so much. Live from the floor of GDC 2018.
It's a real pleasure.
And me, and for us too. Thank you.